In this video, we're sharing over 30 premium features that you can add to your Shopify theme to help improve your conversion rate. These are customizations that you would typically need to hire a developer for or install dozens of different apps costing hundreds to thousands of dollars per month. If you've been following our channel for a while, or even if you're new here, you'll be able to find tutorials on how to add each one of these individual features for free in different tutorial videos. But it's a lot of work to add them all in, even if you're just copy and pasting from the instructions. And let's not forget the time it took us to even develop the code and share these tutorials to begin with. So if you want to save yourself the effort, time, and headache, then we actually compiled all these different features together into one downloadable theme file with all these customizations pre-configured. So if you want that, then check the link in the description for a trial of the entry-level tier of our program. And once inside, you'll have access to download the theme. But in addition to that, you'll also get our AI agent and automation workflows, our Facebook ads SOP, our ad creative processes and trainings, and the community where you can ask Andrew and I questions and hear directly from us. So if that's something that you're interested in, then just check out the link in the description. All right, so we've got a lot of ground to cover. Let's take a tour around each one of the features in the theme. So here we have a demo store that we're going to use to show off the different features that we have on our theme. So we're going to go into this theme features area, and we have three main categories. There's going to be product features, cart features, and then navigation and sections. So let's start off with the product features. And you can see here, there's going to be a list of these different features. And so I'm just going to go through them one by one to show you what they look like. So the first one is having these icons here. So let's just take a look at this customization here. So you can see here we have maybe different features you want to add, or you can add, let's say, trust badges. Really, it's up to you. I think most people like to use it to highlight different features. And so that's a customization that we've added in here. Now, if we go into the theme settings, we can take a look at what settings that we have with it as well. So let's go to the products. Okay, so let's go into this product here where it's been activated. Okay, so icon with text. So here you have the option to choose where the icons are coming from. So you can either make it dynamic so that every product has a different set of icons, or you can make it static and reference a meta object. And that way, every product that uses this template is going to have the same icons, right? So it's very dynamic in that way. And if you use a meta object, then you can select which meta object entry that you want to use. After that, then you have some layout settings as well. So you can change how many icons per line there are. Let's say if you're using a horizontal layout, you want to put, there's only 3 here. So maybe you only want to put 1, then it'll just show it like that. If you want 2, then it'll show it like that. Up to 5 per line. And then you can just change the padding on the left and the right of the on the horizontal display. So you can add some padding there if you like. And then if you want it to make it vertical, then it'll show up like this. And then again, you have some options on how many columns you want. So this is 1 column. If you want 2, then it'll show up like this. So just various little options to adjust how you want it to show. You can also adjust the icon size, so we can make them bigger or smaller. And then you can also adjust the text size as well. Okay, so that's what that looks like. Let's just bring things back to something closer to what they were before. But yeah, those are our custom icons. Okay, so next we have variant images, right? So if you have a product where you have multiple different variants and you have multiple images per variant, sometimes you don't want to show every single image, but instead you only want to show the relevant images, right? So in this case, you can see here, we've got these beige shorts, right? But then when you go to black, you only show the black shorts. If you go to the navy, you only see the navy shorts. But the product itself has, at least 9 images here. So with this customization, we're showing only the relevant ones based on the variant image. So we're in the product template and we are on the right product. So to activate that, we go into the product settings and then there's this area here, selected variant image grouping. And so we can either activate this or turn it off, right? So if we turn it off, then we're going to actually see all the different images show up, right? And that could be very confusing for the customer because you only want to show the beige one for the beige product. So we turn that on, and now we only see the ones that we want. You have a few different ways of defining how you group your images together. So it could either be by meta field, and we get into more detail on that with the specific tutorial video. But you could also do file name and alt text. And then you also have an option to how you, if you're using the file name or alt text methods, then there's a delimiter that splits different portions of the description of those images. And then you can also specify where the name of the variant is within the position based on the delimiter. So again, these are all just ways to split out which image goes with which variant. But yeah, that's the show variant images only customization. All right, so let's move on to the next. We have combined listings. Okay, so let's take a look at this. So normally with your product, you can, there's a couple of limitations. One is you only get 3 different types of variants of product options, right? So you can do color, size, material. But let's say if you want to do color, size, material, style, then you're not going to be able to do that. It's a limitation with Shopify. Additionally, if you sell apparel and maybe you have lots of different colors and sizes, you can only have up to 100 different variants in total. So every combination of your different variants can only add up to 100. Now, they have announced that they are extending that out to 2,000, but we're still waiting on that being implemented. So in the meantime, you can use combined listings as a way to get around that limitation. Additionally, even when the 2,000 variant limit comes in, you may want to, based on how you want to organize your catalog, to still have those as separate listings. And so what does this mean? Okay, so we can see here that we've got this cardigan, and it's got these different colors, right? You can change the different colors. You can change the sizes. But let's say we want a different style of cardigan here. So let me just push this button. So now it's actually, instead of a cardigan, it's a hoodie, right? And so they're related, maybe for whatever reason that you want to relate them. But it's actually a completely different listing, right? You still have your different color options, you still have your different size options, but we're in a completely different listing now. But we have linked them together so you can still toggle between these different products. And so in this way, we're kind of combining the different listings together. So these 3 different listings, we combine them together so that you can access them all together instead of having to go to a collection page and finding the listing from there. Okay, so let's take a look at some of the options that we have for that. So we're going to do combine listing. Okay, so let's check this combine listing and we are going to take a look at this block right here. It's called the product grouping picker. And so here is the settings on how you would name it, right? So we call it style in this case. And then now you have 2 different meta fields. The first one is to determine which grouping that we want to do. So we actually have to create a meta field, a meta object that combines the cardigan, the hoodie, and these shorts together. So we need to point to that. And the second one is to define what we actually want to call these different options. So in this case, this is called the cardigan. So we are referring to there. Additionally, we can decide if we want to use swatches, right? So in this case, we're showing the swatches, but it could be maybe you don't use a swatch at all, right? You could just use the default pills, or you want to change the shape of the swatch. So you have some customizations around there. And then if you're using the swatch, then there's some settings on where you define those swatches, which we will get into a little bit later. All right, so let's move along. Next, we have product page swatches. Okay, so let's view this customization. And we were just talking about swatches a moment ago, but essentially what we have here is the ability to add swatches. Now, Shopify, with the newest versions of Dawn, has made swatches native to the theme itself. But there are some limitations with that. So you really can only use the swatches, at least at the time of recording, on color options. So if you want to change your size options to a swatch, then you can't do that. With this customization, you can define any variant type and change it to a swatch. So this gives you a lot of extra flexibility. So let's take a look in our theme editor how to set this up. So let's change this to swatch. Okay. Okay, so in here, how we access this is we go to the variant picker, and then you can see here custom swatch. So these are our settings here. Again, you can change the shape of the swatch. And you can also define the mapping from which the swatches come from. So this is a meta object that we create, or you create. And what you're doing is you're essentially saying for this variant type, it's going to be a color, and say color beige, color black, color navy. Each one of these is going to be defined in a certain way. So you either specify a hex code for the color, or you specify a file, like an image file, if you want to put an image in there. It just maps out exactly how you want your variants to show up. And so that's what that's for. And then you can change the size of your swatches. So if you want it a little bit bigger, you can do that. Okay. Let's get that there. Okay. So next we just did swatches. Okay, collection swatches. Now, we just showed the swatches on the product page. You can also access it on the collection page, right? So these are not showing here. So let's go into the theme and show you what that looks like. Okay, so we have, let's choose one with more products in here. Or let's go new. Okay, yeah, so we've got a little bit more products in here. So to activate it, we would go to our product card swatches here, and we would enable it. Okay, so now we have our swatches showing up on the product cards, and you can push these buttons to change the color directly in your collection page, right? And then if you go into this, into here, then it actually selects the product that you were originally on. So similar to the settings that we were seeing previously, you have the mapping that you want to set, and then you also have the different size and shapes that you want to set your collection swatches for, right? So if you want to, let's go back. So if you want to change this to a square, then you can do that. Or if you want to make them bigger or smaller, then you can do that. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, now we have our badges. So you can see here, we've got 50% off, we've got new, right? If we go to a different collection, actually maybe we'll do all products. Yeah, okay, so you have these different badges, right? Okay, new and 50%, that's what we have right now. So if we go into the product as well, you can see that we also have them here. So what we can do to access them is we actually go to the custom badges. Okay, so in here, you have a couple different options. So first off is, you can see here it says 50% off here. This is not something that's by default. You can add that in. So if we deactivate that, it's just normally going to say sale. But if you want to specify how much that sale is, then it'll actually calculate it and specify the exact number that how much of a sale it actually is. Okay, so next you have the option to use these different custom badges. So let's say if you want to enable our popular custom badge, so let's go to all products, then we can say put them on both product cards and product page. And then there we go. Now we've got some popular badges on our products. And so this is defined by the product meta field. So in the product meta field, we would specify these whether we're activating our different badges, and then in here we specify what that badge will actually be and what color it is, or if we want to use maybe a color, an image instead. So a lot of different options there. These badges are going to be on the, in this case, you can put it both on the product card here, and if we click in, it'll be on the product page. But you can make it only on the product card or only on the product page. So different options that you have there. And so you have the option to set up to 3 different badges. So we've got popular, new, and then you could put a third one if you like. And that's on top of the sale badge that's already going to be there. So in addition to that, you can do more than just say it's a text badge. You can actually do a different type of badge. You could do an image badge, right? And if you're doing an image badge, then you define the image that you're using right here. And then you can also make it dynamic. So in each one of the products, you can set a meta field to say any text you want. So maybe you want to put product features in the badges itself. It's like, say this one is high in high in fiber. If you're doing supplements, maybe or food, it's like this one's high in fiber. This one's high in protein. So you can put badges that are specific to each one of those products by making it dynamic. But in this case, we're just doing a static one right here. So it's always going to be popular or new. So those are the badges. Okay, so let's move on. We've got the product badge overlays. Okay, so this is a little bit of a different scenario, right? So in this case, we're putting it on the image on the product page itself. So these badges are overlaid on top of the product image on the product card, but you can see here on the product page, it's beside the price. But in this case, if we want to put it on the product image itself, then we can do that badge there. So you can see here, now we have this badge that's placed on top of the image itself. And now this is not part of the image. We've added this in ourselves. So let's look at the settings. Okay, so in the custom product media badge, if we deactivate this, you're going to see that the badge disappears, right? And so we're actually placing this on ourselves. Oops. Let's turn that back on. Okay, so here we have a few options. We can show it on every image, right? So if I just change this, it's going to show on every image. Or you can do it on the first initial variant only. So whatever variant that we initially load on, it'll show it for that one, but not the others. On top of that, you can change its position, right? So we can make it, on the right side instead of the left side. So that's up to you. And then you can also make this dynamic, right? So we can set in the product meta fields so that each product gets a different badge, right? It doesn't have to be the same badge every single time. It can be specific to each one of your products. And then you can also change the size. Okay, so those are product badge overlays. Sticky add to cart. Okay, so let's just scroll down here, and you can see here that the sticky add to cart shows up. So we can we have a few different options here. But let's say we can add to cart, and I'll just add the product to cart. We can also adjust the variant that we're selecting here. So let's go here. Okay, so we have a few different options. So we can activate the sticky add to cart if you want to use it or not. You can activate whether or not you want to show the variant picker, right? So maybe you don't want to give them the option to select it here, right? Maybe you want them to select it up here instead. Then this becomes not editable. And then here is how you want the sticky add to cart to come into view. So right now you can see how it slides in like that. If you turn that off, it'll just appear. Okay, so some of the settings that we have. So let's say you want to, right now it's on the bottom, but let's say you want to put it at the top. So you can see here, it's actually showing up at the top here, but you need to make an offset because every store is a little bit different. So you have to specify what your offset is so that it shows up in the right place for your store, right? So let's say something like that. But let's just put this back at the bottom. And same thing with mobile. So mobile, it'll look a little bit different, but you can also have it pop up bottom like this, and you have your sticky add to cart there. All right, and then next you have some formatting settings. So you can change the colors, the fonts, font sizes, etc., font colors. So that's the sticky add to cart. Okay, so minimum and maximum quantity rules. Okay, so let's say you want to limit how many. Maybe you have a limited supply of a certain product, or it's a special promotion, and you only want customers to only order up to a certain maximum number of units. Or maybe you want a minimum number of units because it's expensive to sell just one. So you need to tell them, hey, you need to buy 5 of these, for example. Then you can use quantity rules, right? So here, let's say the navy one is a maximum of 5. You can make it all the same for the entire product, or you can even have it different by variant. So here's a more complicated option. So, oops. Well, anyway, increments of 3, minimum of 3, maximum 12. So you can see here that it added 3 to cart because that was the minimum, and then you can actually see the rules here. And so if I push the plus button here, it's going to increment by 3 because that's the rule that has been set. So yeah, so we have the ability to control how many units get, how customers purchase in terms of quantity. So to set the quantity rules, then you can find them in the theme settings right here. And it's pretty simple. You just either set it on or off, and then you will specify whether you want to look at product rules or variant rules. So product rules means that, variant rules mean that you can specify whether the quantity rules are applied at the product level or the variant level, right? So if it's a product rule, then it doesn't matter what variants you've added to the cart. If you have a blue small and a red medium, if it's a maximum of 3, then those would be 2 towards the 3. But if you do it by variant, then each variant has its own rule, right? So we actually saw here that each variant has its own rule. So these are variant rules, but you could do it by product. So it doesn't matter which variant you add, they all count towards the same rule. Okay. And so you would set those rules up in meta objects. Okay. So next we have the custom product options. Okay. Okay, so here in this product, we have our custom product options. There's the option to add in text You can add a picker, right? So it's kind of like a variant picker. And these toggle switches. So these are 3 different custom options you can add to any product. Now, there's a couple different reasons why you might want to do this. One is if you want to just have personalization, right? So every product might be able to be personalized for each customer, then you can add these options in. And it doesn't create a new variant for it. Alternatively, let's say you're running into the 100 variant limit, right? So you need more options. Then you can add these in as well as an alternative. It won't be a different SKU or variant, but it will show up in the line item properties. So let's take a look at what this could look like. So let's say we do the prompted here and we add gift wrapping and shipping protection. So when we add to cart, you're going to see here that we've got our beige size 7, but we also have our personalized text, our font color selection, and gift wrapping and shipping protection have been added in. So that's essentially what that looks like on the front end. Let's take a look at our theme options. So these are pretty simple. So let's say if you go to your custom text, you can change what it shows, as the placeholder. You can also change what the label looks like. So instead of add personalization, you can type whatever you want in, and it'll show up that way. Same thing with the picker, right? You can change this into a swatch, right? So if you wanted to make that a swatch, you just have to set it up in the mapping as we showed earlier with the other variant swatches. But similarly here, you can change what it says, right? Font color, if you want it to be a drop down or if you want pills, right? And for the toggle switches, again, you can change the text that it shows. You can make it default checked or not, right? That's up to you. You can make it a toggle switch or you can make it a checkbox. And you can change the colors of what happens when right now it's a green, but maybe you want success to be red. So then now it shows up as red. So different options for you there. All right, so let's move on. So file upload custom option. Okay, so this is our custom upload file product, and similar to what we had in our other product, it's an option to add into your product listing. So you can upload a file, and then it'll just attach the file, and then when they order, that file will be accessible to you in your orders page. So let's take a look at what options we have. Okay, file upload. All right, so we have a few different options here. So you can change. So first of all, we have this meta field key to specify whether the file upload option is available for this specific product. And then you can change the text, right? That just shows up in terms of if you're uploading or not. And then you can change the button settings, right? You can change what that button looks like. You have options to change colors, fonts, text sizes, etc. You can specify what types of files you're going to allow, and then also the maximum file size that you want to accept. So that's the file upload option. Okay, let's move on. Tiered quantity discounts. Okay, let's take a look at this. And here we have our product where we have the quantity selector that's been replaced by this tiered quantity selector, where we encourage the customer to select a 1-pack, 3-pack, or 5-pack. So if they select the 1-pack and add that to cart, then they're just going to get a quantity of 1, and that's it. But if they say select the 3-pack, then they should be getting a discount. So we add to cart, and there we go. We've got a discount. It's actually $60 for 3. And so how this works is this is a quantity selector that will automatically add this many products into the cart. And then you have a discount code, an automatic discount code that's kind of set in the background to kick in if it sees that there's the minimum quantity that was selected. And so those two work in conjunction with each other. So let's take a look at the settings. All right, so we've got our tiered product quantity, and we are going to look at our tiered quantity selector. Okay. So you have the option to select what things are called, right? So you can change the text here. Instead of one pack, it could be one group, one bundle, whatever you like. And then you set the quantities here, and then you set whether you want the discount to show up, and then whether there's a badge, right? So most popular or not, and then what the badge text would be. And then so you do this for the three options, right? The three tiers. And then you have these other settings on formatting and how the different options set up. To show what they look like, right? Because you can turn on or off each one of these pricings, right? If you don't want to show if you don't want to show the savings, for example, you can turn it off and then it won't show it anymore. Or if you don't want to show the per unit pricing, then it'll turn that off too. So lots of different ways to customize it for yourself. And then finally, you have the color options and font size options available here as well. Now, like I mentioned previously, you need to set up a discount code to go along with this. This is only going to show up, this is only going to change what the front end looks like. So what these buttons and text look like, but doesn't actually affect the discounting. So you need to create another discount on top of it to go along with it. But yeah, and then once you've set that up, then you have the tiered quantity selector working together with your discounts, just like this. All right. So, okay, so next we have video story shorts. This is a really cool customization where you have these little videos that go along with your product. And so you can kind of look at them here. If you had more than 3, you can scroll through them. And so, you've got these little videos that are showing on the page, but you can actually click into it and you can actually scroll through them kind of like it's TikTok or something like that, right? Or YouTube Shorts. You can scroll through these different videos that you've attached to your product. And so that's, a pretty cool little feature that you can add to differentiate your site and your products, to really explain what your products are in video form instead of just in text. So let's take a look at the settings. Okay. So here we have, you can change the text title, right, of what you want, change the heading size. You can change video source. So this is going to be either fixed by the template, in which case you just specify meta object entry, or you can specify it by making it dynamic so that every product has its own set of videos. So that's up to you. And then this would just be the reference and where the videos are going to be coming from. You can change the shape, right? So if you want it to be a circle instead of rectangle, you can do that. And you can change the size of it. So you can change the size on the product page. So that's right here, right? So if you want these to be bigger, they'll show up bigger here. And then once you kind of come in here, if I come in here, you can change those thumbnail sizes as well right there. And then on mobile, which might not actually be able to see it here. Yeah, okay, so let's go to mobile view on our browser. Okay, so if we go to mobile, you can see here there's this swipe for next video, right? There's a little indicator there telling you to swipe. So that's what this setting is here. You can enable it or disable it as you wish. And you can also change the text that it shows. All right, so let's move on. Okay, show inventory status. So here you can see it'll show how many are in stock, and then you can have a little icon in here to indicate if it's in stock or not. So let's go to our product. Let's go back to desktop. Inventory. All right, so here, inventory status, show inventory status. So we can actually do this in different ways. Let's see. We've got different variants with different quantities. You can see here, oh no, this one has low stock. This one is expected back. It's out of stock and it's expected back on this date. This one's low stock. This one's in high stock, right? So you have all these different options. If it's in stock, maybe you want to hide that, right? It's you don't need to show it if it's in stock. That's up to you. And then you have these different icons that you can choose on whether you have inventory or not. And this is customizable, so you can use any type of icon that you like. And then you can also decide whether or not you want to show the back in stock date, right? So in this case, we're showing it is, but if you don't know when that's going to be back, you could just say, okay, it's just out of stock. And then if you know when it's going to be back in stock, then you can actually set the date as well. So that's the inventory settings there. Let's move on. Okay, dynamic product descriptions. So here you can actually have different descriptions for different variants. So here you can see here, you've got this italicized text. And then we choose this one. It's bolded. This one, it's just a different font. And this one, it's just mix of bold and text. So essentially, if every variant has a different description, you can change it, right? And it gives you a more personalized experience for each variant to highlight the features of why each variant is special, and allows you to keep everything in one place, right? So sometimes you might have actually split this out into 4 different products. In this case, you don't necessarily have to do that if they're actually all very similar and you want to keep them together. Then you can just change the description without creating a brand new product for it. So let's look at some of our settings for that. Dynamic product description. Okay. So variant description. Okay. So these are our settings, right? So you can you specify the namespace and metafield key where the text of that description is going to live. And then you also can set a fallback text, right? So let's say there is no text found, then you can actually specify a fallback text description here, or you can actually select a page with the text that you want to fall back to as well. Otherwise, it'll just pull the meta field for the variant and place the text right here. All right. So those are all of our product features, but we're not done yet because we can now move on to looking at some of our cart features. So next we have our multi-step progress bar. So actually, if we open up our cart, you can see here, there's multiple steps here. And as we move through those steps, as we add more products to cart, right, then we're going to highlight the benefit that we get for having that many products into the cart, right? So as we keep going, you're going to keep highlighting more benefits, and it's going to update you on how far away you are from each one of those benefits. So that's our multi-step cart progress bar. And it essentially just helps encourage the customer to add more things to cart so that they can get their free shipping or their free gift or their 20% off or whatever else you want to give the customer as they add more to the cart. Okay, so the theme settings for the cart progress bar are down here. So in the theme settings, cart progress bar, now you can see the option to enable it or not if you want, or you can disable the cart the icons, right? So right now, it's actually not showing in this preview. You can see it here, but you can turn off these icons right here in the cart progress bar. And there's actually quite a lot of settings packed into this one. So first, you can decide how you want your cart progress bar to be counted on what basis. Is it based on price, or is it based on the number of items? Right. So in this case, we're basing it on price. But if you want to change it to the number of items, then I'll say, and then set your thresholds at, so let's say you have to buy 5 items to get the free shipping, and then 10 items to buy the free gift. Then you can actually change it to the quantity of items. And so that's what that is. If you are using, if you want to exclude certain products from that calculation, then you just add the product ID right here. And then here you have the actual goal settings, right? So it's the same for goal 1, 2, and 3. And you would specify what the message is prior to reaching the first goal or threshold, and then what happens after you reach that threshold. And that's only going to show this, say for goal 1 post-goal threshold. This will only show if you only have the one goal at the end. If you have another one coming up, then it's going to show how far away you are from the next one. You can specify what it says, right? Free shipping. So it says free shipping here. And then you specify the icons you want to use. So if you want to use 2 different icons, one from before the goal is reached and one after the goal is reached, you can do that like we have here, right? So we have a gray version of this icon and a green version showing what happens once you have crossed over that threshold, right? So from before the threshold to after. The other thing that you can do is you can actually base it off of the total or the subtotal. So the total is the value before discounts. So let's go back to our tiered quantity selector. Okay. So you can see here, add the cart. Okay. So the total is actually $60 here. Subtotal would be 75, right? So it would be the before discount value and the after discount value. So you can set your basis to be total or subtotal depending on what you're doing with that goal. So if you're putting in discounts, then you're going to need to potentially do a subtotal, because once the discount hits, it's going to bring you back under the threshold, and you don't necessarily want that, right? So in that case, you would do it based on the total. Subtotal. And then you have that option for all 3. And then finally, you have some formatting settings. All right. Okay, so next we have the simple cart upsell. So I actually haven't activated that into the cart right now. So let's go take a look here. Cart simple upsell. Okay, so we can activate this. Use cart upsell. Let's add something to cart. Okay, so there we go. So let's say we want to add shipping protection. So we click that, and it's going to add this into the cart, right? If you take it off, it removes it. So it just gives your customers an option to get this little upsell or shipping protection, gift wrapping, whatever it is that you like to add. Just an extra option to put something into the cart once they've already showed up in the cart. And so you can activate it. You can say whether it's in the cart by default. So let's say if I delete this and I turn this on, then when I add anything into cart, only when it's empty, it automatically adds it in right away, right? And so it's sort of like an opt-in versus opt-in by default or opt-out by default. That's essentially what that is. So you specify the variant ID you want to add. In this case, this is the shipping protection product. And then you can adjust the text that shows, right? So add shipping protection, protect your package from loss and damage. So that's what that shows up here, and some formatting settings. You can also set an exclusion list. So this exclusion list will, if these are the only variants that are in the cart, then this option will not show up, right? So sometimes maybe if you have a digital gift card, for example, then you can set your digital gift card ID here, and then it won't give you the option to add shipping protection because in that case, it doesn't make any sense. So that's what that's there for. Okay, so what's next? We have cart upsell recommendations. So this is what you've been seeing here. So every time I open this cart, you see all this stuff here. And these are actually upsell recommendations powered by the Shopify recommendations engine, AI engine. So what we have here is the ability to add other products that are similar or recommended based on what is already in the cart. So in this case, we have this handbag here. This store doesn't have any sales, so the recommendations aren't going to be as accurate. But if your store has a history of sales, then they're going to be able to identify which products are bought together or often added together. So let's say I want to add a navy size 9 to cart, then I can add that in, navy size 9, and then it's going to start to recommend other products based on what is now in the cart, right? And so it's like, oh, okay, so now maybe this hoodie is something that you want to add to cart. So you can add to cart, and then again, it's going to change the recommendations based on now what is in the cart. And so this is one of my favorite features in the theme because it's a really great way to boost your AOV by just having these recommendations directly in the cart when they're already ready to purchase. So let's take a look at some of these options. So cart drawer recommendations, you have the option to enable it or disable it. You have the option to change the background color, which is what we have here. Change the text to heading text, you may also like. And then you have a bunch of formatting settings. So how do you want it to show up? Bold, the width, the style, colors, etc. Here, you can set it to auto recommendations, which is what we have here. But if you want to be very prescriptive with how which products are going to show up, you can use complementary products instead. And then you would have to set your complementary products for each product in your catalog if you want something to show up in this list. You can change the number of products to show, and then you have some recommendation settings. So this is just to affect how the algorithm shows some of these products. So what we've done is we've plugged into the Shopify AI recommendations engine, but we have to also sort through the recommendations because there's going to be recommendations for each product in the cart, right? So if you have 4 products in the cart, let's say like you have a hoodie, and you have these sandals, and you have this bag. Each one is going to recommend different products, and so we have built our own sort of custom logic to work with those recommendations and decide which ones it's going to put first. And so if you want to adjust the weighting factors of how we've implemented that logic, then that's what this here is for. All right, so next up, we have the auto add gifts to cart. So this customization allows you to add a product into the cart automatically on its own, as long as you meet certain thresholds. So say, for example, you reach $100 with a specific product, then it will just add it in. Now, let's take a look at this in the theme settings. So right now, it's not enabled, conditional add to cart item settings. So let's turn this on. And this is the product that was set to where if we have $100 of it, it'll be added to cart. This is set in the meta objects. So once you add this to cart, you're going to see gift product shows up. But if we go under that 100, then it disappears, right? Because the threshold's no longer met. You add it back in, then it gets added back in. So this allows you to, again, encourage customers to purchase more, increasing your AOV. Okay, so cart items repositioning. Okay, so now let's say you have these gift products, you have these shipping protection products, and you don't want them to keep showing up at the top or the bottom. Then you can actually turn on the repositioning, right? So actually, it's already been repositioned. So if I turn this off, then your shipping protection actually shows up at the top. But if I turn it on, then what we're doing is we're saying this variant ID, which is our shipping variant ID, goes to the very bottom. And if we actually want our gift product to also show up at the bottom, then we could do that too, right? So you just need to grab the ID and then you place it right here, right? Put a comma, put the next one in, and you can also place multiple products at the very top or at the very bottom based on how you want to do it. Okay, so discount codes in cart. So normally you can't actually add discount codes until you get to the checkout page. So this customization allows you to put it into the cart. So let's just enable it. And now you have the ability to add a discount code. So you can apply it to, you have these different text here that you can put in, and then you just add the discount code that you want. And once you apply it, it will add it to the cart. Just it allows you to place that discount code step earlier in the process. And that could increase your conversion rate just because people will see like, oh, I'm getting a deal that one step sooner than having to go all the way to the checkout. Because once you check out, you feel like that's the price I have to pay. But if you're checking out with a lower discounted price, then that's going to help your conversion rates. Okay, cart payment options. So this is just putting these essentially trust badges at the bottom of your cart. So if I wanted to place those in, I could just add that, and then it'll show up underneath the checkout button there. And just showing all the different payment options that we have. It just adds a little bit of element of trust to your customers so that they know that, oh, okay, these are the payment options that are offered and I recognize them. Okay, so we've got next the cart count bubble animation. This is this right here, right? So you can see if I have something in the cart, it's highlighted red and it's pulsating, just attracts the attention to remind the customer, hey, they were browsing for a bit. Oh yeah, I added something to the cart. Just kind of directs their attention to click that button, see what they have, and just has a higher likelihood of actually checking out in the end. So settings for this, right here, cart count bubble. So we can enable it or not. We can change the color, right? So if you don't like the red, you can turn it into a green, just to match your own brand colors or whatever eye-catching color you want to use. And then you can also decide whether you're going to let it pulse or just be static without pulsing, just like that, right? It doesn't pulse there. I'm going to turn that back on though. All right, so those are our cart features. Okay, and so we have one last category to go through. This is the navigation and sections features. We're already pretty far into this video, and we still have one full category left. So lots to get through, lots of features that are packed into this theme. Okay, navigation menu images. So here you can actually see we've got these images on this is a mega menu, right? So you've got these different images showing up, and if you want to go to the mobile view, you can actually have images here. Now, this is actually a combination of these two features. So one is the images here, but you also have a custom image drawer menu. So if we don't turn this on, then your drawer menu is actually going to look more like this one here, which is more like the standard drawer menu that you get with Shopify, but we've added images with it. But if you wanted to completely change that menu, then you actually have this option here. So that's what you're seeing here. We've got this drawer menu, custom drawer menu. Okay, so let's take a look at these features here. So we go to header, and you can see here, you can change what kind of menu you want. So it's if it's a mega menu, then you choose mega menu. But you could also do drop down or drawer. And then if you want to add images, then for the mega menu, then you say, so mega menu collection image type. So you can say none, featured, or meta field. Drop down menu collection type, none, featured, meta field, drawer, same thing. So depending on the type that you're using, so let's say if I want to go to drop down. Now it's a drop down menu, but no images. So to activate the images on the drop down menu, you can select the featured image or a meta field. So it's up to you to decide which one you have. If let's say if you have collections, you could put a featured image for your collection. It'll grab that image. Otherwise, you create a meta field in your collections, in your pages, in your products, and you can refer to that meta field instead. So we can set it to meta field here, and then now you get your images there. So that's what that looks like. Now, secondly, you have this custom image drawer menu. So if we go to the mobile settings and we go to the drawer menu. Okay, so let's turn this off. Okay, so now by default, it's going to look like this. And we can actually even add in our images with it as well, right? So if we turn this to meta field, then we get our images with our drawer menu. But what you can also do is we can completely change what your drawer menu looks like. And that's why we have this custom one here. And so once you've enabled that, then we get this type of menu. And again, you can choose between featured and meta field. And this option here is actually to choose whether or not you want a specific drawer menu, which is different than the header menu, right? Because so you can see here, if I go to desktop, right? So it's new, popular, sale, products. On the level 1 of your menu, it's shop all, collections, features. And then you've got these sub menu items. But on the drawer in mobile, it's actually just a single layer. And so because maybe on mobile you want to organize it different than on desktop, we give you the option to choose a completely different menu and build out how you want it to look like in that way. And so that's what that feature is. We've got a lot of features packed in there, right? So it's just the images. Then you can do a custom menu based on how it looks. And you can also do a custom menu based on the actual links, the actual menu items that are showing up in your mobile view. Okay, breadcrumbs. That's to help navigating around the site. So here they are right here, right? It doesn't matter what page you're on. It's going to take you, so to help you navigate through your store. And so our breadcrumbs settings are over here, right? So breadcrumbs. And so you can actually specify a specific breadcrumbs menu, right? So let's say if you don't like the way your regular menu, how your breadcrumbs are showing up, you can use a custom menu that is only for breadcrumb navigation. And so you set it up so that the way the products and the pages, where they sit in your breadcrumbs are defined by the different layers of your menu. And so that's what that's for. You can decide whether or not to use the shortest path available, because sometimes you can get to the same page in multiple different ways. And so you can choose to use the shortest path instead of by default, the first path it finds. Um, if you want to use, so here you can use, there's like a little triangle that um, is between each one of the menu um, layers. You can choose to use the slash instead, and then it will add the slashes in between instead. So it's just different styling options. And then, yeah, you got font sizes, color schemes. If you want to add a divider between the rest of the page, and some other formatting options. All right. Next, we have the inline search bar. Okay, so right now you got to push this this magnifying glass to open the search menu. Same with on mobile, you have to push the magnifying glass. But if you want your search menu to just always be open, then we can activate that. So inline search menu. It's in the header settings. Okay. So on inline search bar. So if we turn this on, it modifies your header so that you have a permanent search bar that just stays in the header. And then, so if we go to desktop, there you go. You see it just stays there. And then you have the option to shift where the actual menu goes. So if you want it to be on the left side or the right side, because now there's all this extra space because it's no longer in between the logo and these icons, then you decide where you want it to be. But that's essentially it. You have this search bar that is theme features. They're just permanently on your site. Okay. Next, we have the Autoplay video banner. So on the homepage, you're going to see here that this video gets played on the homepage. And let's go to our homepage here. So it's a video here. But if you go to mobile, you can actually set a completely different video if you want, right? It could either be a different dimension to video or a different video altogether. So it allows you to make it a more native experience depending on the device that your customer is on. So this is the video banner here, right? So your options are to set the desktop video, mobile video, and you've got some other general settings here. Similarly, you have a, let's go back. You have banner images, right? So instead of video, you can use the banner, just a still image. So it's gonna behave very similarly. You can have a video, a mobile version versus a desktop version. So that is that is up to you, right? You again can have a different dimensioned image for mobile versus desktop, or it could be a different image altogether. So that's a more native experience for the customer, right? And so these two are very similar, just one's a video, one's an image. And then we have a countdown timer. So you can actually see that at the top here. So if you have some promotion going on, or maybe you've got a product drop coming up soon. So you can use this countdown timer to help communicate that to your customers. So we have this in the header. And so it's very similar to the default announcement bar section, but we've added the countdown timer to it. So here are the countdown timer settings. So you can either show it or you don't, right? So maybe you don't want to show it. And then you have a meta object that defines what the dates are, the date in question that you want to count down to. And then you have this text. So when that date is up, then you have some text that shows up at the end, just so you don't have to necessarily change it the moment the clock strikes 0. So you already have something in place as a placeholder until you essentially change it for the next promotion or for the next message you want to display here. you have the option to change how the countdown timer shows up. Right, so right now it shows up below the text, but you could also put it beside, so they kind of go side by side like that. Saves a little bit of space if you want to do it this way, but that's just more of a personal preference. And then you have the option to change how these labels show up, right? So days, hours, minutes, seconds. We use kind of shorthand, so you can change how that shows up. Also, whether or not you want to default to uppercase or not, right? So that's, again, personal preference, but you have the option to change it how you like. Okay, so next we have the comparison chart. So here, you can see here, it's a section with a comparison chart. There's a lot of actually ways to format this chart. This is a very basic version of what that looks like. But you can see here, you can round the corners. You can change how the header colors show up. You can have check marks or just text. If I go, I'm sorry. So yeah, you have check marks, or you can just make text in there. Let's go to comparison chart. So the formatting settings for the comparison chart are actually quite extensive. It's a pretty long list. So I won't be able to go into detail of every single feature here. So if you are interested, we have a separate video for that. And in fact, we have a separate video for each one of these theme customizations, as I mentioned previously, where I get into more detail on each one of them. But essentially, you have a lot of formatting options. So you can change the colors, you can change the font sizes, you can change how these show up. You can add the images. You can round the corners. You can highlight active columns. Lots of different options here to design it however you like. And so we designed this in such a way to give you maximum flexibility to create nice looking comparison tables. Okay. Finally, we have the embedded PDF viewer. Okay, so let's take a look at this. So let's say you want to add a PDF file to your site. It could be something as mundane as like a product manual or something like that, or it could be like specifications, or it could be marketing material, whatever you want, right? Like you just have the option to add this in, so you can. So it's a basic PDF viewer that you can add to your site, right? So you can zoom out or in. You can just scroll up or down. So let's look at the settings. PDF viewer. Or PDF. Okay. So this is built in as a section. So you can place it anywhere in your site. So you just specify where the PDF file is found. Then you can set the height and width percentages and just some padding. So fairly basic, but allows you to add the PDF file onto your page so it shows up how you like. Okay, so that's a tour of the main features of our theme. But as you can see, some of the features have tons of settings packed into them that allow you to do more than what meets the eye. It took me a long time just to even explain all these features, but if you made it to the end, then I appreciate you taking the time to check it out. Like we mentioned, if you want this theme and you want to save yourself the time and effort of adding the features in yourself, then check out the link in the description for a trial of the entry-level tier of our program, where you'll get access to this theme, but also tons of other benefits like our AI agent workflow templates and community access to ask Andrew and I questions. And we'll do our best to help you grow your store. But that's it for today, and I'll see you in the next one.